Hey Fearless Gamers, it's the wild card from Fearless Games, and I'm not good at book reviews, but I'm going to try my hand at a book corner video. So I'm going to talk about The Priest of Mars, which is a 40k novel by Graham McNeill about the Mechanicum. This might be more of a book ramble, but whatever. And basically, to give you the back cover literally and talk about it a little bit, this is a story, a novel about a Mechanicum expedition. And basically, the whole premise of the story is thousands of years before this expedition, another Mechanicum exploratory fleet set out to find this ancient, mysterious artifact called Breath of the Gods, and was never heard from. So, this fleet, thousands of years later, is going on that same quest to find this artifact and also ultimately to learn the fate of the exploratory fleet. You know, see what happened to it. Maybe salvage it, who knows. And being an exploratory fleet type of thing, it comprises mostly the Mechanicum, as well as forces of the Imperial Guard, Space Marines. It has a rogue trader vessel attached to it. It has some Titans in there as well. And you even get the point of view from some slave gangers who work in the bowels of the ship. So all what I mentioned, you get point of views from throughout the novel, which is pretty cool because there's multiple different point of views. And like the slave gangers on the ship are the people kind of forced into servitude on the ship to slave away until they die, and they work on different areas of the ship, kind of like in maintenance. It would be the equivalent of somebody being forced to work on like the Titanic, for example, shoveling coal into the furnaces and whatnot, something like that. That level of menial. And having that point of view, I thought was pretty cool because it gives you this kind of duality of purpose almost. You know, on one hand, you got the romanticized view from the different Magos, or Magi, I guess we'll call them here, and the Space Marine commander, and well, the Space Marine leader of the Space Marine forces, and the Imperial Guard officers and the rogue trader captain and all that. You know, all this very romanticized view that people will remember of a fleet expedition. And on the flip side, you get the point of view from the lowly worker who's just slaving away, who's, you know, they have a name but nobody knows the name or will remember them, and chances are they're going to die before the fleet's done. So it's a nice little duality kind of view there. Now, a couple things I want to mention about the book. I'm not going to give away any plots, spoilers, obviously. But one thing I do want to say is I feel this book is not a standalone book, meaning when I first pre-ordered it and when I first started reading it, not knowing anything about it, I expected it to be a self-contained story arc, meaning the beginning and the end of the story arc is going to be in this one novel. And that is not the case, and I bring that up because some people don't like picking up and getting into a book series until the series is finished. Some people like reading a book from cover to cover, and a book series from cover to cover, and not have to wait between the different parts. And this one very much feels like there's going to be a part 2 to it. If that's the case or not, I don't know. But if it's not, it definitely ends with the story arc unfinished. So I definitely feel it's going to have a sequel to it. And I figured it's important to bring that up. Another thing I want to bring up is it's still a relatively new book. I think it came out right at the beginning of August or something like that. So in 2012. So in the realm of by the time this book review goes up, it's still relatively recent. So you could classify it still as a new book. And I don't think it's coming out as softcover. Maybe it is, I don't know, but it's a hardcover book. Now, some things about the story. First off, the story starts off with the fleet mustering together, so you're not on expedition right away. They're getting to that, and the flagship is this massive Arch Mechanicus vessel called a Speranza, or something, however you pronounce that. And it's a massively huge, obnoxiously big vessel that everything else is kind of like flies in comparison to, and everything else is coordinates around that flagship. So then they're docked over a planet, and that's where the book starts off, and then it goes to the expedition. So the Mechanicus Arc Vessel is the main setting of the book. And even though we have Space Marine and Imperial Guard forces, it's still very much in a Mechanicum book. And aside from the Horus Heresy novel, Mechanicum, I can't really think of a majorly Adeptus Mechanicus style book. So it's kind of a rarity in my mind. And definitely if you're a fan, worth picking up because of that fact alone, and it's written well. Now, even though there are other forces with Mechanicum, it's still very much Mechanicum point of view. You get a lot of good descriptions, both from inside the Mechanicum looking at itself, and outsiders looking in, about the different Magi, and how they're augmented differently, and about the augments in general, and the strange technology and all that, or the advanced technology that Mechanicum deals with. And no sideline character, no side supporting role group steals the show. It's very much about the Mechanicum, and that means when the Imperial Guard are doing stuff in mass or a part of the story, you know, when they actually have characters involved in interaction and whatnot, or if the Space Marines are as well, or whatever it may be, they're not stealing the show. And it's always a worry, especially with Space Marines, because Space Marines are so popular that if you have Space Marines in your novel and people know about it, they're more inclined to buy it for reading a 40k novel. Everybody likes Space Marines, and they sell well. So including them in a book is always, I think, a bit of a risk, especially if the writer is doing it just to get sales, because they can have the Space Marines either be a letdown or be overbearing and steal the show. And in this case, that didn't happen. Graham McNeill did a very good job of making them the supporting cast that they are. Excuse me. Always when I want to talk, my throat gets all messed up. Anyways, the Mechanicum are a group that's, you know, all about technology, preserving it, finding ancient technology, reverse engineering some Xenos tech maybe, you know, without getting caught. And they're also about research and development, and that part's often left out. Because in the codices, we always say about them maintaining stuff, and the limited stuff we do get for them is always about how, you know, there's this 3,000-year-old tank, and they must preserve it and get it. And kind of the running gag is the whole idea that they can make really advanced things, but they want the ancient. And the vet here at Fearless Games sums it up with this own little joke, like, the Mechanicum were capable of creating PlayStation 3s, but they worship and revere the Atari as the best thing ever. And while it does definitely have a ring of truth to it, that kind of idea, the Mechanicum still very much do research and develop new things. And prototypes and test things out and do things that way. And you get a feel of both ends. You get the feel of the ancient with the new in this book. And I think it's a very cool blend that the author did that way. And in a very stagnant empire that the Imperium is, progress is always going to be very slow. But the Mechanicum definitely are researching and developing things. So that's pretty cool. And having that feel, both the ancient and new, like I said, is something I wasn't expecting. And I think enhanced the story's feel. We also get a cool feel at the way the Mechanicum interacts with itself and interacts with others, in terms of having what they call a noosphere or noosphere. Think of it as Wi-Fi that they can tap into with their being. And they can communicate via binary chance and via binary chance and binary blurts, which I imagine sound like fax machine noises. But they do that to communicate quickly with each other, and also that's how they kind of communicate with the machine spirit a bit, via binary and chance and plugging in and whatnot. And that's kind of been hinted at and implied in the codices with tech priests and even tech marines, but it always kind of comes across as ritual. Like they have to flip a switch and turn a crank and pull a pulley, and that's what does it, and they do this whole ritual around it. And the idea that some people have is if they just push the button, flip the crank and pull the pulley, it would have happened anyway. That's only partially true, because not just this novel, the Mechanicum Horus Heresy novel as well, and even the Dark Heresy core book for the role-playing game, where you could be a tech priest. Also, they all three mention and show you how the tech priests just prayers to the machine spirit and binary chants to the machine spirit actually have an effect. Like, if it won't turn on because you flip the switch, if you pray to it and appease it a bit and flip the switch, it'll then turn on. It's very weird. It's kind of like mixing technology with magic is how the Mechanicum works and operates. Because they very much, weld and wrench and do what they have to do, but they also pray and uplink and upload and connect to and whatever the machine spirit and the machine, and that helps it out. Like, it actually soothes it, calms it down, makes it better, heals it a bit. It's not odd or weird, but it is, but in a good way, if that makes any sense. And you get a very good feel of that in this book. This book very much having different magi throughout the story, because there's a lot of different magos on the ship. You get a good feel of their whole uplinking and connecting and sharing data and everything that way, which gives a very good feel of how they communicate with the machine spirit. So overall, it gives you a cool point of view that you don't often get, because they don't have their own codex, even though they are a very integral part of the Imperium. And if you play the 40k war game and you read the novels, when you read a novel, it makes you want to build an army for it, even if they don't have official rules. You convert up like Imperial Guard with Space Marine allies, let's say, to be the Mechanicum. I know off topic, but some people do Dark Mechanicum with Chaos Space Marines and Demon allies now. But why do that when you can do the pure Imperial versions? Anyway, whatever it is, if the book makes you really seriously consider that and think about how you can convert things up and what bits would work well, I think the book accomplished whatever it was setting out to do, which is entertain you and be a good story. I think, you need to be entertained and to have a good story to kind of make you want to go and make something like a force of Mechanicum or a force of whatever it is for whatever novel you're reading. So it did that for me. I've always thought about it, and then after reading this book, I really, really wanted to, but I controlled myself and I didn't. But I think it definitely did a good job with that. That making me have that want, I think, is a success for the book. And if you don't play the war game, you can still obviously enjoy the book. If you like the storyline of 40k, you just like reading the story and don't want to get involved with the models, that's fine. And at the end of this book, if you get the feeling that you want to learn more about the Mechanicum and you want to see what's going to happen next, then obviously it did a good job. So I think having it bring out the feelings of want to make a Mechanicum army, I would say if you're interested in the Mechanicum, it's definitely going to make you want to learn more about it. So overall, I recommend Priests of Mars. I think it won't let you down. It can be a pretty quick read as well. And if you know nothing about the Mechanicum and just go, hey, I heard about these guys before, they sound interesting, let me read this novel, you won't be in over your head. It may seem that way at first, but you won't be. Everything is explained as best they can to make us understand it, as being people reading a book that we're not a part of that fake culture. So nothing's going to be over your head. And one thing I will say is, do not pick up this book if you're expecting a lot of Space Marine action. Like, if you see that Space Marines are involved, don't go, okay, I'll pick it up because Space Marines are there. They're really there and done appropriately as a supporting cast, not stealing the show at all. Anyways, that's it for Priests of Mars, and like I said, I suspect there'll be a sequel. At least it feels set up for a sequel, and hopefully there will be one. So until next time, Fearless Gamers, check out the book, leave us some comments or questions if you have any, and we'll get back to you as quick as we can. Take it easy.